I like dominated the whole interview.
Bam! Fetish for these kicks, fetish for these jeans, a fetish for my hoodie, gotta have it, I'm a fiend. Fetish for these kicks, a fetish for these jeans, a fetish for my hoodie, fetish.
Nights get colder, city zipped up and the hood on my shoulder. Haters looking green like a 3-leaf clover. I got a pair of everything I know of.
How you?
Like,
you know what I mean? It's like I had to talk,
watch
like,
me rock it, double they sales. Every day new jeans and a new shirt. From next year it's like I'm back from the future. A fly outfit, all my hoverboards. Yes, take that off and put the silver one
In the beginning, you know, it was tough. You know, I mean, I'm like, we weren't the first. You know, there have been many Asian, you know, musicians back in the day who've also done a lot of, you know, great things like the Mountain Brothers and people like that. But, you know, we were, well, you know, some of the few out there at the time who were doing, like, you know, club shows and trying to get out there. And the first couple shows that we did were, oh man, they were pretty bad. Like, people, they didn't know how to react. You know, they're not used to seeing Asian American faces, and you know, and being okay to be a fan of that. You know, but I mean, we kept plugging along.
And nowadays, even it seems like people are like, oh great, another Asian rap group.
Yeah.
Well, dang, don't take that for granted. You know, like,
Exactly.
like that's a good thing. You know,
When we first started, there were none.
yeah, like
Pretty much, you know, around the community. So
now they're like, but like I love it when we see the clubs, like, you know, you get these flyers in your spam of MySpace messages, and then there's like, oh, there's a Asian rapper performing, like that's great. And then, you know, usually we try to meet them. You know, like we want to meet them, we want to find out, you know, what's going on with them. You know, not that we have much to offer. If there's any way we can help, though, you know, we want to make this community as close as possible. You know, because it's still not big. I mean, we'll still have like 500 or 1,000 people but no one's hit the top yet. So we all got to keep building until we see each other at the top and be like, high five. You know, yeah, we've sat in many like meetings with major labels or different companies, and they're like, you know, who's your market? What's the buy? You know, Asian Americans have pretty good buying power in the
Best
United
buying
States.
power, but they don't buy music. They don't buy music videos. They don't support the artists. All right, yeah, that's true. So that's why, you know, what one thing that we've come to realize through, you know, we've been blessed to do a couple of trips outside the U.S. and things like that, just to open up the world market and to realize that, you know, you can go to China and hear the Black Eyed Peas.
Right.
Then you can go to Brazil and you can hear the Black Eyed Peas. You know, like, music is universal as long as it's good.
One thing about, I guess, in Korea, that it's probably the hardest market to break into, I think. That's one thing we've learned, because entertainment quality there is like number one. You know, these companies like CJ and other huge Korean conglomerate entertainment companies, like, they sink all this money and they really take pride in the movies and the music. So they have the number one artist in Asia, which is Rain. You go to Singapore and the number one CD is Rain. And like Boa, she's like number 4. Like, you know, Hyori, like, they're all just really huge. So to be an American artist coming in there, it's no big deal. You know, they're like, whatever, you know, we already own, you know, Korea's
we
like
got all our
number one.
superstars here, so
Right.
you know, you're nothing.
So the
pretty much.
crowd as well is a little bit like, who are you? You know, what do you have to offer? Oh, you speak English? Like, like, I think Korea is probably like I'd say, they're the hardest to break into, but then once you break into there, like, the fans are just so loyal. Like, you know, they'll be there with like balloons and like waving it around, just getting really into it. You know, like, they take, as much as it's hard to impress them, once you get in, like, you know, into their eyes, or they accept you, man, they love you to death. So, I mean, it's a balance, I guess. But I've noticed that luckily they speak Korean, because I don't speak Korean, so I'm over there like,
had we not spoken any Korean, would have got hung.
yeah,
Right, because they hate you. I mean, anyway.
we had like about 1 or 2 interviews per day, every day, whether it be like press or you know, magazine, media, and these guys had to speak in the interviews. I'm sitting there trying to figure out what they're saying, and then they'll just kind of translate it to me. So if we're on camera, I'm just sitting there like this, like for like the whole interview.
You know, it's really funny though. We started doing like as the interview started going along, I'd be translating, you know, while I was going. He'd be speaking in Korean, I'd be translating in Korean to Kev, so that Kev could, you know, put his 2 cents in where he wanted to.
Yeah.
And when we got back to the U.S., I realized I was still doing that. Like we'd be talking in English, I'd be like, so that's what he's saying right there. What am I doing?
we had one English interview on Arirang TV, and I was like
He dominated the whole interview.
Bam!
We
Like-
just sat like Kevin saw you.
you know what I mean? It felt like I hadn't talked for like years.